Hello, and welcome to the Spooky Show on the Things Network. And you will see that we have no Dan today. Well, he'll be joining us hopefully shortly. He's driving home. We got back from Wales today, so he might have got caught in rush hour traffic. But in the meantime, we have Paul Rook from Mysterious Worlds, that has stepped in to help us this evening. How are you, Paul?
Yeah, not too bad. Hello from Wet Wales.
Hi, Nettie. Nettie's in the house. Yeah, no, we've been staying a few days with Paul and Lucy in Wales and had a fantastic time investigating at Halloween. We didn't get into the graveyard because it was raining, but we had a good time though, didn't we, Paul?
We did, absolutely. And yeah, no, we did get into the graveyard, but it was just as we was walking through.
Yeah, but yeah, it
But
was
it's an
an
amazing place.
interesting night we had. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. It was brilliant. I can't thank you and
No,
Lucy enough. And I
no
know that
problem. Just come again next
Dan
year.
Dan will be the same. So yeah, so I can safely speak on Dan's behalf. But tonight we have we have this jar of doom. I don't know if you know this jar of doom, Paul. And
Not personally.
we pick a subject from the jar of doom. And this week we are talking about the Witchfinder General.
Ooh, okay.
So it should be right up your street coming from Essex. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
hang on.
He
I'm
was
just going to
very
share this out.
prolific.
It was very what?
Prolific, well known
And arrogant and horrible
as
and
well. Yeah,
notorious. It
yeah.
wasn't a very nice man, was it? I'm just sharing this out. Bear with me, Paul. I haven't done this in a
Okay,
while.
well,
I've got very lazy. I've left it. Normally leave it to my lows at work. So yeah,
that's not good enough. You need to get
she,
them all out.
well,
Dog get
I think
wages for not turning up.
she's been traumatised, poor girl. The amount of abuse that poor woman has suffered at the hands of Dan this weekend.
That was
I
funny
can let,
though.
I will let her off. Bless her. She does work
Just this
hard. That
once.
girl. Bless her cotton socks. She'll kill you, Paul. Trust me. She won't. She. She's not backward in coming forwards as our low.
Uh,
She'll put you in your
she's got
place.
she's got to find me first.
She will. She will.
Yeah.
So, Witchfinder General. What do you know about him, Paul?
I've heard that he was the one that accused. Well, he judged a lot of witches, and got them incarcerated.
He did.
Um, he was well known around the Lowestoft area, Norfolk. That's pretty much about it off the top of my head.
And
Because
Cambridgeshire.
yeah, yeah, well that sort of area, isn't it? East Anglia area.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Oh my
I'm from
God.
South Essex.
Oh my God. Ad is there. Hello, Ad. I hope you're feeling well. I've got some news for you, Ad. It's very sorry, Paul.
No, 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 carry on.
It's very important. We are looking to see Mark Armand next year in 2023. If you want to fly over from the UK to the UK and stay with us and come and see Mark Armand with us, you're more than welcome. But I will talk to you some other time, and we can make arrangements if you want to. So that's quite important we've had.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What
So
an opportunity.
he says, yes, let's do it. Let's get this done. Never mind spiritual, Mark Armand time.
That's it. Yeah. Paranormal to one side.
No, we don't have to worry about that. It's secondary. Annette says Mathew Hopkins was a cruel, nasty psychopath.
Yeah,
Was he,
absolutely.
or was he very
Nar-
clever?
narcissist.
Was he a very clever man? Sorry, Paul, she got overexcited.
That's all right. We've had it like that all week, all weekend.
So, he he came from a family of Puritans,
Yeah,
didn't he? He was a Puritan,
he did. Yeah,
and their religious beliefs are quite strict and stringent, aren't they?
archaic.
Yeah, like God-fearing
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
What's that word for the churchgoers? Very oh, not pompous. I can't think of the name.
Arrogant.
Don't. No, no, not arrogant. Um, but it's the church, all and their rules all the way along. That's how they lived their life. Very simple, weren't they, the Puritans? And
Absolutely.
so he was brought up like that in the first place. And he saw, didn't he see some people that were making money from previously when the king had written demonology and blamed witches and all that sort of thing, and he was drafted in to help prove or disprove witchery that was going on. And then he
Right.
realised that there was sort of like a market for it. Like he
Yeah,
was being called to places to prove and then to execute. And
yeah.
I
And
think
he
it
was
caught
paid a lot of
on.
money for it.
Wasn't it the town, the people that run the towns that called him in?
Yeah,
Because
I think it would be, wouldn't it? The town mayor or someone like that, wouldn't it? I think.
so if the town mayor, so if let's say I was a man and my wife, I just didn't like her anymore. She's too ugly. She's getting too fat, so I want to get rid of her.
Hmm.
And chop her in for a younger model. I would go to my town mayor, accuse her of witchcraft, make some
Yeah.
shit up, and then they would put them in would they put them in a register or something? And when they had enough, they would call in Mathew Hopkins if he was nearby, and then they would give him the records, and he would then deal
No,
with it.
I think they put them on trial. They had like a trial for it, and then said, "Yeah, okay, you're a witch." But I mean, a lot of women were put into skull bridles as well,
Oh yes.
just for being mouthy, which I'm all in favour of. You know.
To be honest, though, I've seen some of these skull bridles, right?
Yeah.
I don't think a skull bridle would keep the likes of, let's say, me and Lucy quiet, because we would know a way around that. Surely, like that bit in your mouth, you could still and still be able to talk.
I think it's designed to hold your tongue down, isn't it?
I don't
So
know.
your tongue would be pressed to the bottom of your mouth, so you
Mm.
wouldn't you'd be able to make
Hi, Christy.
sound, but that's it.
Yeah. So they would sort of keep them in some kind of restraint somehow,
Yeah.
or throw them into a prison or somewhere like that,
Hmm.
until the like of Mathew Hopkins riding into town. Didn't Mathew Hopkins have a sidekick? Is it John
I,
Stern?
yes, yeah, I remember you talking about it last night. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I did.
John Stern, I believe, was equally, and if not more vicious than Mathew Hopkins himself, because yes, he would do the deed to a point, but I think then John Stern would take over and basically finish them off. Because I've been looking at some of the things that they would do to these women, and one of them was looking for witches' marks.
Yeah.
So witches' marks would be like a third nipple
Yeah, a
or
birthmark of some
mark.
kind. Yeah. Any skin
Um,
affliction at all. It'd just
yeah,
be
but
anything.
to, to be honest, right, he was savage from all accounts. Yeah, I think they both were. To be
Yeah.
fair, in it, here he is.
Hello, 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 everyone, and all. Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right.
Apologies. Hello, Paul.
We
Hello.
thought that we thought
Hello.
that
Long time no see.
No, it's been a while.
It's been too long.
we thought that you might be waylaid, so we thought we'd get Paul on. He's going to talk about Mathew Hopkins with me. And
Cool.
we've got to the point where...
Wait a minute. Where's that wanker Parker?
Oh, I'll talk to you later about Parker.
Right.
Let's just say, right, there was no mysterious worlds because Paul's on holiday, but we've drafted Paul in, and we are streaming to Simply Spooky as well as the Things Network anyway. So you're getting the both of best.
So
worlds.
best of both worlds.
Yeah. So right, we were talking. We got up to the point of witch marks, looking for witch marks. And Annette's just saying that Mathew Hopkins was a savage from all accounts.
Definitely.
Where does it say that a witch has marks on her or his body? Yes, men as well as women. What's the one where they semi-drown them? We haven't got there yet, Christine. We've got as far as witch marks first. And Ad says, hi, Dan.
Hi, Ad. Hope you're doing well.
We love Ad.
We do love Ad.
Yeah.
He's our favourite, one of our favourites.
So I just want to bring it back to, right, in those days, we didn't have daily showers. In those days, there was a lot of fleas, lice, ticks, body hairs.
I don't know. Everyone got during the April showers. You had to shower every day.
That is true.
So if a lot body lice were on you and doing that sort of blood sucky what they do, it's going to look like a witch mark, isn't it? It's going to look like a mark on your body. So that's...
Well, they used to call them nipples, didn't they? Because what they used to say, if anybody had a mark that was unusual on their body, then it was a teat that their familiar could suck from, or they would feed the demons at night by letting them suck their energy or their milk from their teeth.
That's it.
And of course, some people, 3 nipples. A lot of people, quite a few people have had 3 nipples over the years. So I mean, that's straight off, isn't it? You're condemned. Let's not forget though, left-handed people as well were condemned to witchcraft.
Oh yes, left-handed people. So if you were left-handed, condemned. If you're a little bit simple, condemned. What's he put in here?
If you had a cat, he was condemned.
I think Hopkins was an SM lover.
I think you're probably right, Ed.
I think so. And what's his name? John Stern.
John Stern, he's right-hand man.
So this is what I find quite funny. Everyone is condemning Matt, and he should be rightly, but they seem to forget John Stern. He wasn't alone in this. Okay, Mathew Hopkins took the credit and all the most of the money, but John Stern also took a lot of the money.
Well, if Stern was it's a good job Stern was the right-hand man, because if he'd been the left-hand man, he'd have been gone.
He would have been executed.
Oh, that'd have been it, wouldn't it? All over curtains.
Are you ready?
Are curtains witchcraft things? I'm not sure. I don't know.
On the count of 3, Dan. Paul, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Chantel in the house! Whoop, whoop, whoop! Here she is.
Radio Chantel in the afternoon. Come on. Hi, Chantel.
Chantel, we won't tell you what he said about Lois. Oh my God!
Not on things we can't.
Not on things. I'll have to send it to you privately. What he said to Lois. Oh my God! You will wet your pants, seriously.
Lois got off on it. Come on. Lois would have had it, wouldn't she? Old crows, they would have.
Yeah. Definitely. But again, they wouldn't touch them. They would use that great big stick with like a prong either end and have them there and keep them at a distance, because they believed that if you got too close to a witch, you were gonna become bewitched or under their spell. So
spell, Chantel.
If you talk shit to Lois, So what did you think about the duck install now? Because Christine said earlier about the duck install. Let's talk about this duck install. Do you know who designed it? Jason Hassler, the man
No, he
with
did.
the
Jason
gorgeous.
never designed it.
No, he's
I'd
got
say
a
it's
gorgeous
bit
dog.
before his time, isn't it?
Jason
Jason-
Hassler never designed a ducking stall.
Hassling the Paranormal has got a gorgeous dog.
Yes, we love his dog.
Yes.
We love
It
Jason's dog. She's very cute.
He should take the dog ghost hunting.
Nah, poor little thing.
Yeah, look how gorgeous that dog is.
She's lovely, isn't she?
Cheers, yeah. So go on,
Really
I'm gonna send Chantel this thing. So go on, talk about the ducking stool.
It was a stall, and they used to put women in it and duck them. That's it.
Yeah.
The
It was
end.
designed by a duck.
If they, yeah,
God's sake.
if they drowned, if they were drowned, they were innocent. If they survived, they were.
Yeah. And another trick they used to use when they used to do the ducking, what they would do is they would put lots of petticoats under the woman's dress. So what happened, as soon as they ducked her, or if they threw her in, because a lot of them they used to tie up, didn't they? They tie their hands. They say, if she floats, she's a witch. If she drowns, then she's innocent. So what would happen is the pockets of ear would get caught in these skirts,
Fibers.
and they would make them float.
Hmm.
So they would do that as well. Go on, Paul.
Well,
Sorry.
if the witch floated, that means that she was made of wood, because wood floats. So if you burn the wood.
All right, we did the nose.
Chantel, I'm just sending you something, Chantel, okay? I've sent her that film, Dan, you're in trouble.
She turned me into a locust, but I got better.
Chantel, just go into your private messenger chats and have a look in there. Yeah. Wasn't the water supposed to wash her sins so she's able to ascend to heaven if she's innocent?
Well, they used to send them straight. They thought they were sending them straight to hell, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't think they wanted to redeem them, did they?
What do you mean? In those days, Ad?
Isn't there
Isn't these days?
Sorry, Paul?
It's supposed to. Isn't there a thing that's supposed to say that if a witch enters heaven, it sort of incurs the end of the earth? And there's a lot of cases, especially when we're doing paranormal investigations. Anyone that's accused of being a witch, there's always someone there that's holding them back and grounding them to earth.
Mm.
Quite a lot in this
We used to sing it as it was a school thing, Chantel. We used to sing it at school.
in his hymn class.
I'm going to send it.
I was the teacher.
Annette, I'm gonna send it to you, Annette, so you can see what's going on as well. It's terrible behaviour from Dan, honestly. You won't see Dan in the same. He was, yeah. So going back to these witches.
It was all Dan.
So if you can't swim and you have gas, you're screws. Yeah. But what if you were quite buoyant, quite robust and buoyant? Hi, Bri.
Hi, Bri.
So if you were a robust woman and quite buoyant anyway, you're buggered.
Yeah, well,
absolutely buggered. There was another thing that they did, though, Dan, wasn't it? It was sleep deprivation. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah,
wow.
They used to do something called walking. So what they would do is they would have two people. I'll tell you something else about witches as well. They used to have two people, and what they would do is they would walk the woman or the man. They'd walk them up and down, up and down, up and down for hours and hours. And then two men would take a break. Two other men would come in. But the woman or the guy, the woman or the man that was accused, would still be walked up and down until they got so tired that they just basically passed out or gave in and signed a confession.
Do you think that's why he also had John Stern as his right-hand man in this? Because they would take the turns in this sort of
Yeah.
I want to call it.
Well, there was more than him in John Stern, because he used to
Yeah.
he employed a lot of people. There were a lot of people employed, and sometimes the villagers to carry the walk the person.
Yeah.
It was called walking. But there was the reason that we have this look. The reason we have the look of the witch today is very sad, actually. The reason that we have this iconic idea that the witch with green face, long lanky hair, and weird-looking fingers, long fingers, because I'm trying to get it right now. The walking up and down and the torture would make the woman sick, so she would become green with pallor. And what they used to do is they used to break their fingers and twist their fingers. And so this idea that we've got of the fingers being crooked and green, that would be where they basically persecuted the witch or the person.
What about the warts on the face, Dan? Is that
there was
from
something
the
about
third,
the warts.
the
I can't
third,
remember what it was.
is it the third nipple, or is it what?
There was something about the warts. Hazel knows more about it than me, because she told me about it.
No, it'd be the leeches when they duck them.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Familiars, Paul. Get it right.
I always thought the whole green image and stuff was more to do with the Wizard of Oz.
No, it was the idea was because they were sick. They'd come out and they'd go green in pallor, because it's like throw up and what have you. There's something to do with the warts. I'm going to find out when Hazel comes in. But the fingers were broken and twisted and gnarled, and that was it.
Ad said when they would walk them up and down, would they walk them
Oh,
up and
it was
down
in a room. It was in a room. A room or a barn, somewhere where they could keep them.
Or the Duke of York.
What, Dan?
You couldn't even believe it, Ad.
This is just the
vicious.
This was just the step. This was just the first steps. There's more to this. More to come. Seriously, what this man was
absolutely. Like. He was vicious.
Honest about. Oh, do you know, Annette? You saw that video. Oh my God.
What one? What one? Oh, the one I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent it to Annette.
Yeah.
The green is the colour of healing. Yeah, I know. But they say that they go like a very pale colour, and there might be a tinge of green in your skin when you feel sick and you feel ill and you want to be sick. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, that's what they were getting at. It was the feeling of deprivation and sickness that made them go green.
Yeah.
But also in medieval England, we didn't have
a
word for blood.
Hi, Robin.
No, we didn't.
So it was always a green tinge to somebody, even if they were cold. So it could even be from that as well.
Yeah. They didn't like, contrary to belief, whatever you read, okay, and this is the God's honest truth, this has come from historians and actual documented records that the parish records kept in. Our parish records go back somewhat 900 AD, some of the first ones.
Yeah, they go way back.
Way back. So they keep a record of executions, how they were executed, who was executed, and the family involved, right? So in England, they hung witches. They did not burn them.
No.
Recently, Dan and I had a conversation where people were mistaken about witches. They might have done in other parts of Europe.
They did it in Europe, didn't they? Germany, I think they did it. They burned them.
In England, they were hung. There were occasional times when witches were pressed. Do you want to explain what pressing is, Dan?
Yeah,
and it was part of the torture.
It's to get a confession out of somebody. So what they used to do is they would start off with a small rock, and then they start off with rock, and then they put the rock on the chest, and then the rocks get bigger and heavier until basically the oxygen in the air was crushed out of the person, and the diaphragm collapsed. It just completely crushed them.
Yeah, and then they would die, and that would be like an accident, because I think they were trying to extract a confession, and the death was just one of them. Oh, she died. Yeah. So let's get back to this. Okay. Ad said, so they choke the skin so they get sick.
Yeah, they just make them ill, and like when people get ill, they say, don't they? I mind you, I've seen people go green, sort of looking green. You'll have seen a lot more of that than I did, Paul. But
you would have seen me go green when I did that bone whistle.
You did go green.
Yeah.
Did he also remove the nails of those people, the angels? So
I would guess he did. He did all sorts of vile things. Really, really horrible.
I think that's
things.
Torture, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Form of torture.
Yeah. We used to get heretics. We had the heretics. The heretics were burned.
I must admit, for torture techniques, the English were pretty evil.
Yes, could be the new superhero, the Ginger Mingo. Don't give Lois ideas. Honestly, oh my god.
We'll see her next time we see her. To have a cape on. I don't mean a small chicken.
She'll be wearing her underwear on the outside of her clothes. No.
Oh, Ad says I'm like the Hulk, the She-Hulk.
Like the Hulk. Exactly like the Hulk. That's it, Bri. That's it.
Yeah, and so once these, I want to bring it back to Mathew Hopkins again, because he travelled prolifically around East Anglia, and I live in East Anglia, and I did do some digging around in my local village where I live, and I found that Mathew Hopkins came. I'm not going to say the name of the town where I live, but he came to this small market town, and he put to death one woman in this town. It's only very small. It's a very small island. It was, and one woman was put to death. Now, this lady was never named in the parish records, and her identity was hidden. And I had this discussion with Dan. The only reason they would hide somebody's identity like that, because it was somebody of stature or somebody of extreme wealth, and maybe somebody who was very important, so she could not be named. But we did have a hanging of this one lady in our market square, which is sad. In the next village, there was 3 ladies. I say ladies, three females that were hung. One was the mother, and the other 2 were her children. And this is there's been many books written about these 3 that were hung from this area. The books you can buy. It's called The War Boys Witches. She was married to a member of the clergy, and he lived in the rectory next to the church. A very respected and loved gentleman of the clergy, who grew tired, was having an affair with one of the servants, and he did not like how his wife was becoming, so he wanted to marry this servant lady. So they concocted this story about her bewitching someone. The children also were of witchery, and the 3 of them were hung together in a town called War Boys Witches. And that is well documented, because people from the church were even implicated, because he wanted this. As soon as these 3 were hung, he was then free to marry his servant, which he did, and she lived a very happy life with him thereafter. But they didn't just hang women or men. They would also go for the children as well, wipe them all out so somebody could start afresh. Oh, are the animals? Tell them about the animals.
They would hang animals as well. If you were considered to be a witch, or you were considered to be or what we call them, they called really cunning men and cunning women, or cunning folk.
Yeah.
And everybody probably knows mostly they were sort of herbalists. So if people couldn't afford to go to a doctor, well, not that you want to go to one at that time because they were horrific, but
apothecary.
Couldn't afford to see a doctor, an apothecary. Then what you would do, you would go to the the wise woman or you would go to the cunning man. And then
Yeah.
what they would do is the thing that I found ironic is the fact that they hanged these people for witchcraft because they were selling these potions. But the monks at the same time were herbalists. So it was all right for the church to do it, but it wasn't all right for the ordinary woman or man to do it.
Puff, puff, pass. Sorry,
This reminds me of an episode of Blackadder.
Blackadder.
Yeah, when he went to, because he thought he was gay, and he went to see the wise woman, and he walked up to the woman in the graveyard and was like, do you know where the wise woman is? And she's like, 2 things you must know about a wise woman. 1, she's a woman. 2, and he's like, she is wise. And he goes, oh, you know her then?
A wise woman.
Well, yeah. So it was a wild stab in the dark, and incidentally, that's exactly what you're going to get if you don't tell me where she is.
Annette says something really poignant here. She says, today there would have been serial killers.
Do you know what? Absolutely, Annette. Absolutely. They were
Absolutely.
Absolute lunatics.
I think that Mathew had a demon with him. As you can see, what sick things he did.
He must have, because to do what he did.
Not always.
No, it
wasn't always cats.
No.
I think that's a modern day myth, isn't it, with the cat thing?
I think the thing is, with cats, is that what they used to do with cats, they used to use them in their spells of protection. So what they did, they used to bury them in the walls of life of the house.
Yeah.
So
hence these mummified cats.
From.
Yeah. Robin says, sounds like
and they were all called
Beelzebub the cat.
Beelzebubbles.
Beelzebubbles.
Poor pussy.
Oh, no, we're not talking about Lois now, Ad.
Serial killers kill them with Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. He was a Fruit Loop.
So for every one he executed, he was paid X amount of money per person by the local village. And there were records of how much he was paid that still exist in the town records. And I think they keep them at, what's that, British Library, isn't it, as well? And he became so wealthy that this man was unstoppable. So we spoke earlier about this greed thing. Okay. He would ride into a town and he would demand lodgings, somewhere to stay. Then he would demand to be fed. Then he would demand to be paid. Then the people that worked for him had to be paid. Then they need to be paid for building materials for things like the ducking stool, which was they had a replica made, didn't they? And they had it in one of our museums. It's like a seesaw type thing with a chair, with a wooden frame around it. they would duck it. Honestly, it's terrible. So all these things cost money.
I would say that there is still a ducking stool in Canterbury.
Oh, is there? What an original!
It's actually mounted on the side of a wall on a building now, but it was initially used, and
that's
it is still the genuine item.
So these things were all that the village, the townsfolk would pay for, or that, like in our case in Chatteris, one person paid for. So then, and if they were being executed, they had to pay for the gallows to be built, because these things weren't just a machine or a big. There were actual platforms that they had the rig on. It was a big spectacle. Everyone would come out on a Sunday afternoon, bring their packed lunch, bring the kids. It was
it's just a medieval. It's just a medieval version of Beastmaster.
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is, isn't it?
And then afterwards, after the deed had been done, it was down to the townsfolk to dispose of these bodies. And of course, like, none of these bodies were buried, obviously.
No.
They were set fire to and cremated afterwards. So there is no record of these people actually being taken and buried, because who wants anything to do with somebody accused of witchery? If they had, then there would be that family would have been accused of being in league with the devil for taking in the witch's body. So it was awful, absolutely awful. But while that was happening, this man was getting richer and richer.
You know what?
And richer.
I'm rusty. I'm rusty at what he earned. I can't. I vaguely remember. I've read enough books over the years that he was getting something like. It will show you how prolific it was. He was getting something like £5 for each witch, so £5 in English sterling, and he was tapping out at 500 quid a month.
So in our time, that would be how much?
Thousands, hundreds.
In fact,
thousands.
It'd be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that he was never appointed by anybody. He was self-appointed.
Yes.
He created the name himself. He appointed himself. So it was kind of something that you got to remember as well about those times is that we were coming straight off the back of a civil war. And of course, depending on what side you were, if you had a
oh dear.
If you have a falling out with somebody because they fought on a different side to you, you would just drop at the drop of a hat. They'd be accusing each other.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, right? So before Mathew Hopkins, there was the Pendle Witches, and I read the timelines. The Pendle Witches happened before Salem. Okay, so Pendle Witches started, and it was the children and a peddler that complained of these women and bewitched them, and all that started off in Pendle. Now, forward wind, I think it was about 60, 70 years, or whatever it is later, nearly 100 years later, it mirrored exactly to the letter what happened in Pendle with the children saying the women and accused in a court of law. So when people say to me, oh yeah, but Salem was this, yeah, but don't forget, we sent those people there. Those Puritans that did that over in Salem actually came from England, and then it sort of follows a fashion. So I tend to think that back then, and I'm going to use the words of Chantel, were the English batshit crazy back then, Dan? I think maybe.
I think they were. I think, do you know what? I hate to say it, but it's true. Things were of their time, weren't they? So we judge them by today's standards when they weren't applicable back then. No. I'm not saying what they did was right. Of course it wasn't. It was absolutely horrific. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was vile, and should never have been done. But that's the way they were. Yeah, I saw that, Brian, from you. That's interesting. I'll have to get that.
So there was witches.
A lot of people were taken to Lancaster Castle, where they were tried as witches. The Pendle Witches went there, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Lancaster isn't too far from Burton-on-Trent or Lichfield.
Yeah. So this Witchfinder General, this Mathew Hopkins, is synonymous with Colchester and the Essex area. Now, I believe he came from a place called, Paul, do you know?
No.
Manningtree.
I was going to say a place near you, Viv. The one where they can't drive. Ramsey.
No, he was an Essex boy. You know what they say about Essex boys?
Dodgy, aren't they?
Dodgy as duck.
I just lived there. Yeah, I just lived there. I'm really from London.
They knew he was an Essex boy because he had furry dice hanging off his horse.
Yeah, exactly. His girlfriend had white stilettos.
So there is a pub in Manningtree in Essex called the Thorn? Is it called the Thorn Hotel, which you can actually go and stay at. But he held his meetings in the upstairs room of this inn. The original inn no longer exists, but a new inn was built on the site that he frequented. And it is said that this Witchfinder General, Mathew Hopkins, dark shadows have been seen, which people are claiming are him. What do you think about that, Dan?
It could be 1,000 million people, couldn't it? I mean, that pub's been there or had been there for a long time, and there's always been dwelling on that spot for centuries.
Right.
So it could be. I mean, the amount of people that have gone through that pub, why they? Because he's notorious, they just jumped to the idea. Oh, that's definitely him, isn't it?
He wears the Puritan hat, and he's got the cloak, and again, as you said, like hundreds of people wearing the same clothing.
All Puritans, yeah, and many people were.
Yeah.
You know, in actual fact, thinking about that, they didn't drink, did they, Puritans?
Yeah, but he had his meetings there, didn't he? So
no, but I mean, it might have been, I don't know,
a meeting place.
Yeah, it might have been just maybe, I don't know, was it something else at the time? I'm not sure. Anyway, that's going back centuries. But the fact is that I think that could be anybody's spirit, couldn't it? If it is a spirit, if it is an energy.
Oh, if my husband had put me up as a witch because I was older, I'd taken him out first before they came for me. Yeah, I would do the same.
It probably is. It probably is. Certainly,
He also in Manningtree there is a bridge with a famous ducking pond, and they say if you look, like they won't pull it out of the it's a bit of a river now, but they won't pull it out because if they pulled these pieces of wood out that they would disintegrate. But they say if you looked it down, when the pond is clear, you can see the remnants of the old ducking stool still in that pond. I've not seen it per se because I've only ever been there.
I've heard that, but I think ducking stalls were mobile.
Like I don't know.
Trebuchets, they were on wheels.
No,
so
I don't know. Some villages. Some villages had them installed.
Had their own.
Yeah.
Mm.
And also,
they probably had the stands on the other side of the lake as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
So people could stand and watch.
So they also say that they have seen him. Now, this is not just once. I've heard this by many people that, hand on heart, and I know that they wouldn't lie, have seen this dark, shadowy figure run across the bridge, and they've tried to run to the end to meet this figure, and he never arrives. Again, he's supposed to run across this bridge, and they say it is the ghost of Mathew Hopkins. So now we've put him in two different places. So is this thing actually interactive? After all these hundreds of years, it's been able to be in more places than once and even communicate with people.
People are assuming that it's a ghost. Well, first of all, that it's a ghost, and second of all, that it is actually Mathew Hopkins.
Yes.
You know, it could be so many different people, but then equally, as a ghost, we don't actually know what a ghost is.
Yeah.
So it could be a plethora of different explanations, but we just assume it's a ghost. Well, we don't even know what a ghost is. It could be anything.
Well, you know what it's like. You've done investigating, same as you've for years. So you've only got to have how many dodgy mediums on people out there that think they're mediums. So you've only got to have one go.
Ed will tell you. Ed will tell you the same.
Prime example. I did an investigation at a pub over in Enfield, and it was actually Dick Turpin's uncle that owned this pub. It's all documented, and he used to go there. He used to hide out there, and he did actually hide out there, and he had Jack Straws as well up in Hampstead. But there was a guy with us who claimed to be a medium, and he said, "Oh, he's here." He said, "I've just seen somebody out with a tricorn hat outside with a tricorn hat." Well, he didn't have a tricorn hat. He never wore a tricorn hat. And it's like, it's like that's it. Well, that's gospel then. Oh, we've just seen Dick Turpin outside. No, he hasn't.
Here's the second question, Dan. For somebody, and I'm going to put him up there as prolific. Well, actually, no. He was getting there for his time. If he was allowed to have gone a little bit longer, I think he would have made the same numbers as Hitler. So put them in the same camp, if you like. These two evil men. Mathew Hopkins, let's just concentrate on him for now. If somebody so evil like that is allowed to come back, then why hasn't Hitler? Why has nobody seen the ghost of Hitler? Why there's no reports of that?
Because no one's looking for him.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I bet you somebody out there said, "Oh, it's Hitler haunts."
Absolutely. I mean, if you go to Germany and go to somewhere that you know Hitler would have frequented, and you see a shadow, people will go, "Oh, that's a ghost for one," which is a load of crap because it's just a shadow.
Jump to conclusions. Yeah.
But they will jump to the conclusion it's Hitler, and it's like, well, where's your basis for evidence that there isn't any?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he just frequented that place, it's irrelevant who it is. It's just because of the area and the place you go to, it's suggested. It's all suggestive.
Yeah.
That's true, actually, Ad.
Yeah, that is true, Ad.
That's very true.
I want to say that the irony of all of this, that this man made all this money out of people's misery and downfall, okay? He died penniless, broken, and diseased, and he was in pain when he died himself. And he died in Essex. Oh, thank you, Christine. That's John, my little boy John. He died penniless. Oh, shut your face. He died penniless, didn't he, Dan? And a broken man.
He did, yeah.
So it's like karma was watching him even back then. Yeah. Karma played a big part. Hi, Kelly. And he was buried on unconsecrated grounds. The church refused to take him in. Now, without telling the location, Dan, do you want to tell people what you found out without saying too much?
I found out that he's buried. Actually, you came to me with the information first of all.
Initially, yeah, but you did the work.
And we didn't know whether the person who would give us the information, we didn't know whether it was truth, or we didn't know whether because they fabricated things. So I looked into it and did some research, and it turns out he is buried in Essex, and he's buried at the side of a farmer's field and by an estate. So, yeah, somebody look at your back garden just over the wall. You've got Mathew Hopkins. Somebody out there has got Mathew Hopkins at the bottom of the garden.
So it has to be said, though, Dan, we will be doing an investigation. We will do the summer months because...
I found out where it is, so we're going to go looking, aren't we? And
weather's getting too cold, so we have to do it in the summer because we're getting on a bit. Yeah, Robin, karma is a bitch. Definitely, yes, Ad.
So there was a big thing about when Richard III was discovered. You're going to go out and find Mathew Hopkins. So we'll watch the movie. Sell the movie rights.
If we dig up his skull, we're selling that. That's going to be £20,000. Full skeleton. You want the full skeleton? We're talking at least 50.
But that's providing he's actually there, because the information I've got could be a false trail as much as the one that we've been giving. It could be.
That's true. I tell you what, that is beautiful karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got told off once because I went into Colchester Castle, and down underneath the cells there, he used to use the cells there to basically torture women and try and get confessions out of them. And I went in there, and all I said was, I think that the actions that you perpetrated on those innocent people was disgusting, and I don't hold with the way that you behaved. It was despicable. I don't like it. And I got told off by a medium who said you shouldn't speak to the dead like that.
I actually don't.
What?
And so badly, she complained to my manager, and our manager said, "Fuck off." It's pardon my French. The manager told her to F off. She went, he was despicable. She went, down with never disrespect the spirit. Sorry, Paul.
I don't think the cows could crap on him, though. It should crap on him, because that would just give him a pat on the back, wouldn't it?
Ah!
Hey!
Hey!
Ba-dum.
Yeah.
I've told you, it's not a cow, it's his familiar.
God, you two.
Yeah.
But no, there's I think, and you two are not going to like this. I think through history and throughout the world, us women have had such a raw deal where we not just second-class citizens. I'm not even talking about the Arabs. Let's leave them out of it. I just think through history, women have been quite badly mistreated, and it seems
Especially
like
when they've been trying to do nothing but good for people.
exactly. And women have borne the brunt of man's wrath and fury for forever, it seems. That's just, I'm just throwing it out there, guys. So don't hate me, you two.
No, you're right.
Robert Filton.
Hi, Robert. Hope you're good.
Robert!
Absolutely. And I wasn't even disrespectful or nasty to him. I just said,
I
I
would have
didn't
been.
agree with his mindset or the way that he behaved. I felt it was despicable and, he just horrible.
Yeah.
And I got told off.
Not you.
Well, do you know what?
I was naughty.
Do you know what? If we do dig up a skeleton at any point, you might hear us. Me and Dan have been arrested to try and, because we'd have to call it into the police, wouldn't we? But we're calling it in, but we want the body.
Yeah.
We'd be rich.
We found it. Yeah. You found it. You keep it.
Exactly.
the boss.
Hiya, Jeremy.
The boss is in the house. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy. Hope you're good. Hope you're good, buddy.
Jeremy in the house.
Jeremy in the house. Jeremy in the house.
In the house. He's not as quiet as a mouse, but Jeremy's in the house. His cage has come off his lips. He's talking. He might not be eating, but he's talking. Jeremy's in
good
the house.
stuff, Jeremy.
Hope you're well, Jeremy.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well.
Oh, what's he said here? Oh, we've been told off now, you watch. That's good. If you're busy, it's keeping your brain exercised. That's what I say. That's what I say. Robin says it started with Lilith. It's the Bible's fault, Viv. Lilith was made into a demon for saying no. They liked Eve because they did what she did what they wanted. Yeah. It was from the Stone era. Women asked for as long as say have walked. Big little. I know. But I have to say that where I live, I have a claim to fame. I live in Queen Boudica or Boadicea, depending on where you pronounce it. I live in the place where she was from, where she lived.
She was a woman.
And this was her the last stronghold, because she fought the Romans and she was part of Iceni. So yeah, and do you know what, Dan? She was ginger as well. She was ginger. So
she was the warrior queen, wasn't she?
Warrior queen. Yeah, I'm Lilith 2.0. Oh, bless her. So Mathew Hopkins, if you don't know about him and want to learn more, start with the film with the famous man himself, Vincent Price, who played the Witchfinder General.
Yeah,
it's not completely accurate, but it will give you...
There is a lot of artistic license there, but it gives you a rough idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't encourage, please.
You encourage as much as you want, Brian. You carry on, mate.
I'll get him on Friday. Don't worry about that. For God's sake.
Do you know what? It wouldn't be so funny, but they're doing a proper good job of it as well, aren't they?
Oh, God.
That is an interesting book, The Hammer of the Witch.
I think women don't even know what they want, so that's why it calls.
No,
so
exactly.
Much.
Exactly.
Yes, we do. Yes,
that
we
was
do.
James
No,
the first, I think, and that.
Because they all go,
James
"Oh, we
first.
want equality," but then they're the first ones to moan when the bloke don't hold the door open for them.
Well, exactly.
No, it's when the man holds the door open. He's like,
Yeah, exactly.
"What do you want? What do you want?" And when the women don't hold the men open for the men, oh my God.
It's the other way round.
Terrible. So yeah, the Witchfinder General.
This one.
The Witchfinder General is a movie that was made by. It was an English company that made that movie, didn't they?
Was it a Hammer?
It was a Hammer film. It's quite
Hammer,
old. It's
wasn't it, I
very dated.
60s, isn't it, Viv?
Yeah.
I think
60s,
so.
early 70s, yeah.
So if Hollywood's listening, rather than remaking movies, we want a Witchfinder General one. They won't be listening to us. Yeah. But yeah, anyone knows anyone in the film industry? Yeah. But yeah, it's something that's overlooked. People talk about witches. They talk about. I'm just reading the comment. They're talking about witches and that sort of thing. But when it actually comes down to it, with a real history and the nitty gritty, sometimes it gets overlooked.
I'm going to call myself the Bitchfinder General, and I'm going to look for miserable women that don't do anything but moan. So there's plenty of work out there for me.
You started the chat room then.
Dan,
hello.
Put me on your list. I'll be second to your wife. I will join forces with her. Trust me.
What we should do another paranormal one. Bullshit finders. And we go around and we call them out because there's plenty out there, isn't there?
Oh, God. Oh, for
I don't think it's the time of the day, is it?
I'll make some calls. or two, Brian.
Brian's getting it on Friday. You wait till I tell
leave Brian alone. You leave Brian alone. He's part of the brotherhood.
We'd need to be Time Lords, I think, and just regenerate.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
So, that, guys, is the Witchfinder General, that nasty, disgusting man who Dan is going to walk in his bloody footsteps, finding, what was it?
Bitchfinder General.
Bitchfinder General.
Me seeketh the young bitch.
Me seeketh the face to slap.
Hang her, she beeth a bitch.
God. Oh dear. I mean, right, what we've got to do now is Paul's
turn.
Yeah.
Jar of Doom. I need to add a few more, but I wanted to.
Sorry.
Before I add any more in this, I'm going to try and, because we have a few left in here, you see. There's the Jar of Doom. We've got all sorts of things going in there.
Doom.
So this is our subject for next week, Paul.
Okay.
Tell me when to stop. And my fingers will stop fiddling.
Okay.
You got to say stop.
Stop. Yeah,
Nice one.
I'm sort of on leisure.
Oh my God.
Not another bloody Bigfoot.
No.
Dog man. Love it.
We are talking about Dogman next week.
Love it.
So it's another crypto one. Talking about
I think one of the, something we should put in there is Fodor Nondor.
Fodor Nondor. Just put
Fodor
Nandor. Nandor.
Fodor Nandor.
Just put Nandor and Gwyn.
He's very underestimated fella, that bloke.
Yeah, that's worth looking at. We'll look at that one.
Gilmo.
Yeah.
Gilmo and
So
Nandor.
Write it down on your bit of paper and stick it in.
Message me because I know how to spell that.
Okay. I'll do it now.
I'm going off, Robert. see that armor and that shield? That means nothing to me because I come from royalty. I have royal blood in me, let me tell you. I will cut you.
I come from Edmonton.
I will cut you down and I will cut you up. No, I won't. I've got no swords that would do that. Talking of which,
We've just been talking about witches.
I slept. I didn't sleep with. I shared a room with a man that huffed like a dog while he was asleep. That's all I'm going to say.
We should actually.
Ooh, yes.
We should actually. That's a good suggestion, Annette. Thank you. That is a good suggestion.
No, this is through the snoring. This is just like listening to the snoring. Just like a dog.
And we listen to it breakfast as well.
Right, so
I'm gonna go, guys.
We are back. We are back on air tomorrow with the Spooky Show. Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday, Lois will start her true crime show. On Friday, we have the Frighteners. And this Saturday, I believe William Becker will be interviewing Rick Hale on the metaphysical insights. I'm tired.
Oh, you got Rick Hale. Oh, Rick Hale's a good guy.
Yes. So catch us on one or the other. We are around this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, next Tuesday, we are on the Things Network talking about Dogman. And if you want to come pop on, Paul, see how you feel, whatever you're doing, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Do it, mate. Do it.
From around here.
Do it. Excellent. Excellent.
So we're going to say good night, everyone, and take care.
Good night, everybody. Sorry I was late.
Take care,
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone. Bye.